Start transmission. Okay, we're live for whatever it's worth. Just a. Oh, sorry. Can Laura? Just a second. Speakers.
The fuck is wrong
Okay.
with you, bitch?
Now say that again. We're back. Several months, almost
Welcome,
2 years
everyone.
break.
We decided to come back from our very, very long hiatus because we thought there's so much going on in the world that's fucked up. We should talk about it.
Yeah, the world's gone to hell in the last 2 years since we did this last. We just have not had the energy. I've been through a new job and then becoming a gig worker. Laura's been watching her TikTok shoot through the roof with popularity for what we consider shooting through the roof, which is.
And I'm also a gig worker.
Mm-hmm. Friend Cody's on too at the moment. The
Actually, now that I think of it, none
asshole
of
redneck.
us work regular jobs.
At least we can't blame work schedule for not being able to podcast anymore. But like I said, the title of this is We're Back, kind of, sort of, not really, because though this is a spoiler moment thing to do an episode, because I was looking at old stuff on my content, and I'm like, you know what? I'd love to do the podcast again. So it's like, okay, I guess we're doing the podcast again.
Yes, and for those listening, by the way, this is the relaunch of Tony's channel, which we've been trying to get him to relaunch. All of his equipment and favorites will be linked in his Amazon storefront.
Yep,
So
I
go
got
ahead
it.
and go check that
I'm
out.
gonna
Give
link
him a
those
few
after
seconds, go buy some
after
shit.
this is done. I will link all that in the description. It's not linked. The stuff ain't linked in the description yet. I haven't figured out how to do that for the live stuff through the OBS that we use to stream it to being live. So, but I'll go.
He'll figure out how to do it, and stuff will be linked. So if you want to shop through him, support the channel, you can do so.
I could really use support because I'm trying to save up for like a $600 Canon DSLR set that comes with a tripod and everything I need, because my camera is kind of broken. I lost the tripod base, and as Laura can see in the webcam, which we don't put on this podcast, it's freaking cracked. It's nice and cracked here, so I can't put it on a tripod. So the best I can do for actual video is a freaking webcam. Oh, and to let everyone know, and I just uploaded a video about it, Grubhub just did the worst thing as a violation of your contract. It came out less than a half hour ago. Apparently, if customers or restaurants canceled your order too many times, they will deactivate you and block your account. If you get too many restaurants or customers canceling their orders on you when you're the one driving.
That sucks. What the hell?
And part of it was, I'm probably never going to use Grubhub again after that one. And
I'm like, I use Instacart as like my main one, but Tony knows like it's kind of here nor there on whether
I'm not gonna say my main one that I use because of what company it's with. They can get a little finicky potentially. I don't want, and it's such a good source of income as a gig worker, I don't want to threaten it by mentioning it by name, because I can make $200 a day on it pretty freaking easy as long as I work all day. But there is all that. But did you guys hear about the Neil Young on Spotify pulling all his shit down because Joe Rogan?
All I hear is like people, especially like a bunch of girls that I know, they always say that Joe Rogan is like the epitome of the male patriarchy harassing women. And I don't know if that's true because I have not listened to his podcast.
Yeah.
His podcasts are, and since the pandemic, have always been of the controversial viewpoint, and has always questioned the mainstream thinking towards vaccines and what have you, and has brought medical experts who also.
Oh, we should title this podcast The world is ending. Is Joe Rogan actually a genius?
You know what? Maybe we should all just like listen to several Joe Rogan podcasts before we make
And
that one
react to it.
and
That'd be
react to
perfect.
it potentially as, although that would have to be more of a video podcast, and we need to set up our areas where we're okay with everyone seeing that on video through Facebook video, and we'd have to figure out how to set that up.
I need an
See,
excuse to listen to that
I, I've,
podcast.
I've
Well, it's on
seen a few.
Spotify. You can listen to it. I would listen to one with him with a doctor. Just a second. It's on the Spotify. Robert Epstein. Where he was talking about the, because I use the Brave browser now. I don't use Google Chrome anymore. Because the Brave browser is, no, I use Brave. Because Brave is it's built on the same foundation, Chromium, the open source Chromium that Chrome's built on, but it doesn't track me. It has built-in ad blockers and stuff, and actually that's part of the reason I was having such trouble figuring out how to get Facebook to work, because for you guys out, for audience out there, whenever you guys actually show up, if you ever show up, because we're going back to the worst rated podcast on the internet, we need a better name. We use Facebook video chat to record all this because they live in Michigan, I live in Indiana, so getting together for a podcast really isn't that possible all the time. I mean, me and Laura can meet up within each of us traveling 2 hours to meet up halfway. But still, that's quite a trek.
Especially in this weather.
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to get snowed in. I just had to go put a new generator on a credit card because I didn't have the cash for it. And I had to look everywhere. And I massively overpaid.
Which actually leads me to my point, because I'm actually out of this shit show you guys are about to dive into.
Yeah,
How
I
does
don't.
this make you guys feel?
All I know is my local power grid is not the best.
Which brings me back to my next point. Wood heat always beats everything else.
Yeah, well, luckily my dad's good at being a handyman, so he's got everything wired so that we can plug our heat and our water into the generator. So I will still have running water even if the power's out. I got a brand new 5500 watt generator and 17 gallons of gas, including what's in the generator. We filled it up, then filled back up the gas cans.
Question on that, Tony. Is that 5500 watt? Is that peak watt or is that running?
Running wattage.
Okay, good.
So it'll run both fridges, our deep freezer, the TVs, my computer, and the internet, the heater, and the water pump.
Holy fuck.
Or it should. I mean, my computer at max output only pulls 300, only maybe 200 to 300 watts, and that's if I'm doing heavy. And that is if I'm doing heavy gaming. And I only know that because I have a backup battery supply now.
Mm-hmm.
And since we did this podcast last, I actually got a new computer. I built a new computer in the last year or so. I don't think I had this computer last time we did the podcast.
I just got cream savers to eat.
Oh, yummy. I guess I've never had them. But yeah, but here's the thing though. Back to the Joe Rogan thing. I don't know what Neil Young thought he was going to be doing. He's been irrelevant. Rockin' in the Free World's the only song I know that's by him, that most people know that's by him. He's pretty much an irrelevant artist. And Joe Rogan has better ratings than all of the 24-hour news stations. And those people's ratings get an artificial boost because they're on in public places, nursing homes, places where people can't choose what's on the TV, and Joe Rogan is still beating them out.
Wait, how often is this?
That actually has something to do with the fact that he's open to alternative opinions and viewpoints on his show, and versus instead of trying to suppress them, he embraces them.
Yeah, but my point is,
opens up to discussion
does an
Wait.
irrelevant artist?
Getting back to Neil Young, the whole thing is like, okay, you know, he was known in the '60s for being a, you know, more open and part of like the maybe not necessarily the
Here's
hippie
the
movement,
secret: they were only pretending to be open to let the communists take over. Just saying.
but you know, you want to take the song "Rocking in the Free World." Well, the free world is exactly that. You know, the freedom to have other opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And his stance basically says, if you don't, I'm gonna take all my music away if you don't fire somebody that I don't like for a viewpoint that they share that I don't.
Yeah, and I mean, from what I've seen, Joe Rogan said pretty much. Joe Rogan, just like Tim Pool, have pretty much everyone on their podcast. You know, if we got our podcast so big, we could have some of these people on eventually. That would be like insanely awesome, but probably never going to happen.
I mean, honestly, you look at that whole thing, and it's the whole censor and suppress. That's the last few years. That's been exactly the left, the cancel culture, the you know they claim to be oppressed, but are actually the oppressors.
Yeah, it's like, are you going to be able, as an irrelevant artist, to outdo somebody who is so popular right now that he is outpacing in the ratings mainstream media, who at this point many of them have a literally captive audience, and they still can't beat this guy, a guy who's only on Spotify, and people have to choose to go out and listen to him. He doesn't just end up on the radio.
Well, no, and that's because again, you look at some of the bills that have gone through or have tried to go through Congress lately, and a lot of them are big grants to like the broadcasting companies, public
Yeah,
radio, etc., etc. So it begs the question: who actually owns public media?
it really
Because
does.
they get these massive boosts from the government, so it kind of makes you wonder where these where are the funds coming from? Is that and is that indicative of how the the content is slanted?
Yeah, the problem is NPR, even back when I was in high school, going on 10 years ago now. Wow, it's been 9 years since I was in high school.
It's been 11 years for me.
Wow. Yeah. Can't believe it's been that
It's
long.
been 8 years for me.
I met my buddy Cody here over 6 years ago, almost 6 years ago, going on 6 years ago.
I've known Cody
Mm.
since 2015.
Oh yeah, it was 6 years ago. I
Yeah,
met Cody in about October 2015. We met in philosophy class. We got good grades. We were good with our methods and what we meant, but our teacher hated us because he
And
was.
then you to me about your teacher hating you.
Oh, our teacher was
not to,
a liberal.
not to mention a horrible introduction.
Yeah. Our teacher was very much a liberal person, pro gun control, anti, kind of almost pro censorship, trying to make arguments that really held no water. I don't remember specifics because it was 6 years ago. But we disagreed with him on a lot of subjects, and it was ethical dilemmas, I believe, modern ethical dilemmas. Contemporary ethical dilemmas. 6 years, I forgot the name of the class. So yeah, but me and Cody both got a B, an A, or a B in that class, despite that, because though we were not on the same side politically, and he definitely didn't like us, I do have to credit that teacher with grading honestly. because
I mean,
with
the papers were sound.
yeah, he graded honestly, where other people these days would have given us Fs just because we didn't align with them politically in college.
Actually, I had an English teacher do exactly that. It was for a technical writing class.
Oh yeah, the class I dropped because it was supposed to teach me how to write emails and shit, and the whole time we were doing pretty much team building exercises like you do in a damn office on a waste of time meeting. And I'm like, this is not what I signed up for, and I dropped the class. This
You didn't miss a lot, except for headache, misery, and
I've never been good at English
the,
classes.
the daily occurrence of me having an argument with the teacher.
Yeah, because like I'm here to learn this technical writing. I'm not here to learn what everyone's name is and where they came from. I don't want to tell you why I'm in school or what I'm in school for. That's
$1,000 on college so that we can do team building exercises.
exactly.
You spent $10,000 on college.
I spent 14, which I really didn't need to, but that's a conversation for another time.
Wait, like out of pocket or in total?
Loans. I have 14 grand in student loans to do.
What about you, Laura?
I don't have any loans, but I paid out of pocket probably 18, 20K, something like that.
Yeah.
I did college on like $1,000.
Yeah, you also had grants and stuff. I mean, I actually could have gotten all my college paid for with Pell Grants, my Pell Grant money, but
I mean, just going to trade school for 4 years for two different degrees, and I'm only $1,000 out of pocket.
Yeah. Granted, there was difference between what courses you take, because I was in computers, which meant servers and stuff, so there was some pretty expensive equipment that was paid for with fees for the classes, so the classes cost a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I was able to use my student loan money to help get fuel in my car and stuff. Essentially, I had enough Pell Grant to pay for everything, but I still took out student loans because we needed the money for other things. Which I now know wasn't necessarily a legal way to do it, but how are you going to track it? And nobody's coming after people 6 years later for what they did with their money for student loans. There's no way to track that shit. They've tried to crack down, it fails every time.
Except for the fact they just admitted it to the internet.
Yeah, except the fact they just admitted to the internet. No one watches this, so no one watches this, and I will pay back and you know what? My Pell Grant still paid for everything, and I'm still paying all my student loans. So who cares? I'm paying my bills. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I took out the loans. I gotta pay them back. That's my thing. And if you guys want student loans forgiveness, let's start suing Harvard, who has all that money in their what are they called? Endowments for ripping off all of the students. We want the student loans paid back. Let's make the big universities pay them back.
I mean, seriously, does anybody know, like, what the cost of a year at, like, one of those big universities like Harvard or Yale?
Like $100,000 a year.
And literally, does anyone also know if the education is any different?
No, it is not. What's different is, because here's the thing, in corporate America, it is not what you know, it's who you know. So if you don't go to these schools, you won't make the connections with the people to get the jobs. It is not the education, but the connections that are what are costing you the money. There is no real difference between a Harvard education and Ferris State University, other than the people you meet.
Except for you're going to run into the board of directors.
Yeah, thing is, if I go to Harvard, I'm more likely to meet the next CEO of Apple and get a job that way than if I go to Ferris State or Michigan State or something like that. Or if I go to MIT, I'm more likely to meet a future executive for Google to get a tech job. Or meet someone who works for Facebook, because the big companies go to those big colleges to recruit new people out of school. So you're paying for the opportunities that come with that education, not the education.
Makes sense.
You following, Laura? Kind of.
Basically, we all realize, wow, we do gig work, and we may or may not have needed to spend as much money as we all did.
I don't even have my degree, and I spent all that money.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the one aspect I did come out of college with, because there was a lot of things that I learned in college that I had to get rid of to be successful in my field. But it taught me, the drive, the determination, the independence.
I mean, I feel like college is still needed to an extent. Like, I definitely wouldn't have met the people, gotten the connections I did without it.
Well, here's the thing. Without college, we would not have become friends.
I wouldn't have had a boyfriend that's, amazing.
So, I mean, hey, without college, this podcast wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
So, there are upsides to college.
At McDonald's, but I definitely wouldn't have been friends with him.
No, because I am a asshole to work with. I am going to freely admit that. I'm a decent friend, decent person to hang out with, but when it comes to working with me at work, I am an asshole to my coworkers. Totally. Not gonna lie.
It's amazing they never give you the fucking soap party out of the deal.
No, you see, I got everything done and was clean up after everybody, so if anyone tried that, the boss would have had their ass.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why you don't get caught.
No, but I was kind of an asshole because I didn't know people, and at a certain point, I'm like... And I don't like to blame my autism for a lot of things, but I do want to say that my autism is probably part of the way I act at work, or acted at the time, when I worked with Laura at McDonald's. Not to use it as a crutch. I never want to use it as a crutch or an excuse.
I was gonna say, Tony is not the most, like, he was very talkative to customers, outgoing, blah, blah, blah. But to, like, other coworkers, he was not that nice.
No. And I'm just kind of like that a lot. Granted, that's why gig work works so much better for me. I don't have coworkers I have to try to be nice to, who annoy me all day long.
Nope, not at all.
Gig work is awesome. Granted, eventually we do have to actually come up with actual topics at a time, since we don't really have a topic, as this was an impromptu podcast. We'll let you know in a couple of episodes what a schedule will be once we get into a swing of things.
Oh, tell the audience, we could not actually trick Bezos.
We could not. We tried to trick Bezos by swapping Amazon affiliate links for me and Laura. They won't pay us if we know each other. We wished. We hoped.
Yep.
We pleaded. Some people prayed. But alas, it was a failure.
I got a couple affiliates from my friend, but that's because when I messaged them, I think it was on Instagram. I don't think they look at it as much.
Yeah, the thing is, Facebook and Amazon are so freaking interconnected. I can look something up once on Amazon, just once, for shits and giggles, to see what it is, and I will be given 50 ads to buy it on my Facebook page. I don't see it on my desktop because my desktop has ad blocker and stuff. And though I know people get paid by ads and stuff, I would be like, go for someone's merch, go for someone's Patreon, because people don't make all that much money on ads. And really, I wouldn't be so mad about the ads if they wouldn't always interrupt my Reddit stories and that right in the middle of a sentence. That is the biggest reason I turn on ad blocker. Is because the ads always interrupt what people are saying. Anyone else notice that? How ads when in the middle of a video tend to pop up right in the middle of a sentence, like at the most inopportune times.
No.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they were in the middle of saying that. Oh, there's an ad. Granted, it doesn't really affect much because I don't really watch so much YouTube on my computer. I watch it mostly on my Roku, which doesn't have the option for ad block through my TV. So I still see the ads for people.
What a bummer.
So unfortunately, me and Tony cannot get rich off of each other.
No, we cannot. If we ever get enough viewers, we'll probably try to turn this into a weekly thing. Right now, because I did not pay for it, because I wasn't sure if this podcast was ever going to come back, I quit paying for SoundCloud until we start getting an audience. So for the moment, the whole SoundCloud thing, what's there is there, but I'm not up. I didn't pay for it anymore, so I can't upload anything more to SoundCloud of the podcast for now. And I'm not recording it separately at the moment. So, yeah. So the podcast is just going to be a YouTube podcast for right now. But thankfully, none of us have regular jobs anymore. So we can plan this out a little bit better, maybe. Just plan
Did we
on
have
the...
regular jobs before?
Huh?
I don't think we had regular jobs before.
I did.
I did.
No,
I do, except with the exception of wintertime.
Granted, Cody will obviously not be a totally all the time regular appearance on the show because he's busy at times and we can't always get him to pick up because he can be sleeping for work and shit. Like, the Midwest here is about to get hit by a sucker of a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to get like 2 feet of snow in 2 days.
Although, to be fair, I kind of wish it was tracking more north. Because I honestly would love it with something like that. That would...
But yeah, no.
Well, I'm just that fucking crazy redneck that's like, bring it on.
But you know what I love? Do you guys remember when we were talking about at the beginning of the pandemic about the whole mask thing, where they were saying masks didn't work and then they did work, and we watched the same video, and it was the same evidence but interpreted 2 separate ways?
Yeah.
So first they said they don't help, then it was only N95, then anything helps. Now we're back to only N95 to the point that Walmart is handing out free N95 masks. So is Kroger.
Yeah, honestly, I think the whole mask policies are bullshit. I think the vaccine shit, and I think the boosters are bullshit.
Oh, my dad got the Moderna booster, and he has not felt well since. That was 2 weeks ago.
Well, that's exactly what happened to the pops. But they don't stop you from getting COVID because he ended up getting the virus. We all like fucking a week later.
Yeah, here's the thing: it's being done less and less bad. Like up in Michigan, there's a county that Cody lives in. I'm not going to say the actual county because we'll give states, but we aren't giving city names or anything like that because we don't want people hunting us down. We don't want to dox ourselves. But there's 72,000 people in the county. 55 are in the hospital with the pandemic. The only hospital that does the entire county. So out of 72,000 people in a county where this thing seems to spread like wildfire, there's only 55 people in the hospital. That, to me, is not such a bad thing. I mean, them being in the hospital is a bad thing. I'm not going to say people being in hospital is a good thing. I'm just saying it's not as bad as people are making out to be.
It's not as bad as, say, the people who die from heart disease or cancer or diabetes.
Yeah, way more people are dying from that than this. And the thing is, I have been knowingly exposed working side by side with people who tested positive at least a dozen times and later on found out they tested positive, working side by side, no mask, no vaccine, nothing, and I still have not gotten sick.
See, I mean, personally, I'll still wear one just because, like, work kind of tells me to.
Yeah, if your work tells you to, you kind of have to. Or like me, if I go into a retirement home, I'll put one on just to make the elderly people feel more comfortable.
No, see, I actually had a general contractor. I was framing a house outside by myself in the middle of summer and had the general contractor stop by the job site and tell me to put a mask on. And I told him, go fuck.
Yeah. Why put on a mask when you're the only one there? It's like these people wear a mask in their car by themselves.
Yeah, I never really understood that. I'm like, why are you wearing a mask if you're by yourself?
It's like this thing does not linger in the air that much. I literally delivering groceries to people have watched and stuff have watched people come out of their house, put on a mask before they get in the car.
I mean, to be fair, I was with my cousin, but it was literally me and my cousin, whom you know, like I hung out with like daily at that point.
Yeah, it's like people don't seem to understand it. And people
Oh,
are like,
here's a hot take, guys. This is something that I saw online yesterday, and some woman made a video and it went viral, and she said, if I'm going on a first date with someone and on their Hinge profile they state that they're vaccinated, that is a red flag to me. What do you think of that? I'm
Yeah.
what's a
neither
red
here
flag
nor
to you?
there on that sentiment.
If they're vaccinated, because to me that shows that we are not going to get a lot of things.
What did you say? I'm sorry. It was saying we had
No, I
drop
was
frames.
saying like this girl went to go like swipe on her like Hinge slash Tinder profile, and one of the guys that was going for the first date said in his bio that he's vaccinated, and I said, I mean, I didn't say it to her because I would have gotten plenty of responses to that. But I was like, I'm neither here nor there. Like, it's not a big deal to me if someone says that.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's kind of a warning. It's kind of an ominous sign because at that it kind of makes me wonder how much other things we're going to disagree on.
Yeah, it's like here's the thing. There are states right now passing laws that are making it to where you cannot ask people if they're vaccinated or not. Making it a felony to even ask. And the Supreme Court struck down all the mandates.
All the mandates are a violation. One, I mean, you're forcing people to confidential medical information. One,
Hmm.
Isn't the mandate only 5 days after you get COVID? You can go back to work now?
No, the vaccine mandates. The
Oh,
Supreme Court
right.
struck them down
yeah,
as unconstitutional.
yeah,
Although a
because
little late now, since they had those mandates in place for enough time to either get everyone fired or vaccinated before it finally got to the court.
Wait, they claimed what was unconstitutional? Wanting people to get it or the, like,
Requiring
all.
them to get it to keep their requiring businesses to require their employees to be vaccinated.
Well, if it's a
basically
private business, can't they do that, though? I'm confused.
They
no, no, because it's a governmental mandate. That's basically the government's telling the business, in order to stay open, you must have all vaccinated employees, which means you must
or
hire
you have
everyone
to
who's not vaccinated.
or you have to pay for everyone to get tested on a daily basis,
Right. So basically, the government just makes it so that they can't stay in business unless they comply with these mandates.
which was unconstitutional. Now, a private business can require you to have this vaccine as a condition of employment of their own free will.
They just can't have the government telling them that.
Yeah, the government just can't tell them they have to. The business
So
can
the
still
business
require it.
can tell their staff that they need to get it, but they can't say it's because of the government, basically.
Correct. The
Right.
government cannot force it, but the business can, because you're agreeing to work there under the condition that you are vaccinated. Presumably, there are other places where that is not, where you don't have to have that to be employed. Presumably, it's a choice of where you work. When the government's mandating it, that choice is taken away from the public and
Right.
industry.
That means that you no longer have the you want to get vaccinated, no matter how you feel about it.
And they
And
also threw out the mandate for the military. Now, they did not throw out the mandate for healthcare workers because healthcare workers already agree to get shots and stuff by entering the healthcare field. It's understood when they enter that they're going to have to get all these shots and vaccines to work in hospitals.
Mm.
That just should be understood by for people, you know. But the fact that so many doctors and nurses don't want to get this shot tells me something about it. And by the way, I have both the Moderna shots. I have not taken any boosters.
Did you see where Pfizer has asked the FDA's approval to administer this as an infant vaccine?
Weren't a
Oh
bunch of
God.
people saying there was a scandal of multiple nurses and doctors like faking medical records of them even getting the vaccine?
Yeah.
Oh, there's been a lot of counterfeit vaccination cards going out, especially in California.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Well,
California's crap.
but everything in California requires that you have the shot
Mm-hmm. And
by the government mandate.
we can pretty much exclusively blame California for the shortages right now because of the way their docks are set up. There are lines of truck. There are plenty of truck drivers. The problem is there's nowhere to put the empty containers. And the container for that truck has to go on that truck. And that container might be in the middle of the stack. So you have to move it to get to your container to get it to your truck. It's insanely inefficient and totally made for the union guys to make more hourly money. To help the union workers make more money.
I mean, I totally get it as workers, and I mean, I understand it does suck on the supply end of it, but I totally understand why.
But
The way they did.
the thing that really pushed over the edge is the just-in-time delivery service. Nobody keeps anything in a warehouse anymore. It's from the field. Your food was either slaughtered in the slaughterhouse or taken out of the field, even if it's in a can, less than a week before it hit that shelf.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because
Mm,
going out as fast as they can get it in.
no, but that has always been, that's how it's designed.
Oh, so there is no.
There is no stockpile. There never was. Because the stockpile takes up space, which costs money. Here's the thing: the international industrial complex, whatever you want to call it, industry on the world stage has efficiencyed itself to the point that there is no wiggle room. The reason that there's a microchip shortage is because everyone thought that people would buy less microchip stuff, even though you're stuck at home. You're going to buy a whole lot more electronics. They should have ordered more. But people bought trucks that GM thought they weren't going to buy, so GM cut their order. But oh no, we now need all these microchips. And all the time, which has to have like an 18 to 36 month lead time on these orders, has already been given out to other people and could take 5 years to build another semiconductor plant.
Mm-hmm.
It's at capacity because people cancel their orders because they're expecting to do less. Although there was one thing I want to say about the price of gas. The price of gas has very little to do with Biden and way more to do with gas companies not knowing what's going on between lockdowns, Ukraine, the South China Sea, and all that. Because here's the thing. Right now, gas is still technically cheaper than it was under Obama when you take inflation into account.
However,
it
does have something to do with it because very first day he was in office, as immediately after they swore him in, he signed all these executive orders that cut all these fracking leases for holes already drilled.
Yes, those are fracking leases though for natural gas. That affects natural gas, not gasoline.
It also affects oil because those weren't just natural gas wells; those were crude oil wells.
Mm.
He shut down.
But here's the thing: they weren't drilling them.
XL pipeline. He shut that down, and that took, that cut the transportation hub of gas and diesel fuel.
You mean the pipeline that was already in building hell that was like probably never going to get completed anyways? that had been through so much under Obama, but wasn't even going to be in operation for years to come?
No, he actually shut down the existing pipeline that was in.
The Alaskan pipeline? He shut down the Alaskan
No,
pipeline?
no, there is a pipeline. It was part of the Keystone pipeline.
Hmm.
They were just expanding the Keystone. He shut the whole damn pipeline down. So there is no more fuel running from the refineries in Texas along the Gulf Coast to the Midwest. It is all being shipped in tank cars and semi trucks from
Okay. I can see where that can affect the gas prices.
Southwest, the
But
fucking Gulf Coast. There's nothing getting it to Indiana, to
Mhm.
Michigan, to Wisconsin, to
How-
Minnesota,
Mhm.
to anything like that.
Okay, I understand that part. I didn't know that part. But I do want to say that it probably has far more to do with the fact that
So-
of the losses they took when they had to reduce gas prices below $2 a gallon.
So if you actually take into account this fact here, it costs about 10 cents per gallon to be transported through that pipeline. It costs about 75 to 80 cents a gallon to run it on rail because of the freight and the freight charges on it.
Oh, okay.
It costs like I think we were like at $1.50
Mhm.
per gallon to be transported by truck.
Yeah.
So if you take that $1.50 off the price, the pump at the price at the pump, what you're left with now is right around $2 a gallon.
Yeah, but you see,
And
the thing is,
that right there is a direct consequence of President Biden.
but well, I would say that true, but I would also say that part of the oil companies not increasing production to meet demand, creating the shortage, which ups the price, is because they don't know if the demand's going to tank again. Because last time it did, it went down to $2 a gallon. At which point they were probably losing money on oil.
Right, but
with
at
inflation.
the same time, nothing has to change at the current to alleviate the fuel crisis. Virtually nothing has to change. Production doesn't have to change. None of that has to change except for open up the pipeline. But he won't because his biggest supporter, fuck, I wish I could remember his name. But he contributed like $15 million to the Democratic National Convention last year.
Wait, so I have a question.
But he's actually the CEO of the Union Pacific Railroad.
Oh yeah, that
one of
Laura
the
has
largest
question.
railroad companies in the United States. So his company is making 80 cents a gallon off of every gallon of fuel that's coming from the Gulf Coast anywhere in the nation. 80 cents a gallon. And the man that he gave $15 million to made sure that the money went back into his pocket.
Yeah, that's just normal corrupt politicians.
By crippling the U.S. infrastructure.
Laura's got a question. Let her ask it.
So when it comes to like someone getting gas, what causes it to change by the day, basically?
Just normal stuff like daily. Because here's the thing: gas is traded on a future. The price is based on what they assume the price is gonna be, and then the price of oil, and at the time can adjust it. Day to day, local, what they can get away with selling it for.
Well, generally, at least up here, gas doesn't usually change much, unless they get a tanker in.
Oh no, here.
Then they have to change it to sell it for the current price that they buy it from.
Well, here in Indiana, the price will change by a few pennies every couple hours.
Yeah, I was talking to the guy who owns the marathon station up here by me, and he says, he buys 1,000 gallons of fuel a week, but his prices only change the week of the day of the fuel truck, because it's like, okay, I can sell it for what I can sell it at this price because I bought it at this price, so I don't have to jack it up.
Granted, you live way up there where there aren't as many people. I live where there's 300 plus thousand residents. most of our gas stations get multiple deliveries of gasoline a day.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's probably part of what changes it. There's also a lot more corporate control over the gas stations around here. Um, but all the gas stations seem to reflect each other. But um, I would say though, I still think the uncertainty of the future is causing gas prices to stay high more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because the gas company does not want to go back to $2 a gallon. They can't afford $2 a gallon forever. Not with inflation.
Well, no,
Um,
I don't think it would really go back to that because the wages are coming up, and as wages have to go higher,
I think
because
2.75, $3 a gallon is probably where it's going to stabilize eventually.
I'm thinking like 250.
Yeah. Yes.
I could if things were to start opening back up, where people actually had a snowball's chance in hell and you know coming back to normal out of all this bullshit.
Yeah.
I think it wouldn't be super optimistic to say that the next president, if it's a Republican president, can have gas prices down around 250 a gallon or less.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say $2.50 to $3 a gallon, probably closer to three with the rate of inflation. Probably would be normal because think about this: it was $3 to $3.50 a gallon under Obama, pretty much the entire 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's $3 a gallon. But with inflation, it's still less than it was under Obama, if you account for inflation. So people like
But
it's
what I
so
want to
bad.
know
It's
is
so bad
how were we able to go 4 years under a different administration with gas prices as low as they've been since the early 2000s?
because they didn't actually go that low till the pandemic started and everyone got off the roads. They were only down to maybe 250, maybe
Yeah,
240.
I
But
remember.
they went from $3.50, and in some places like California, as high as $8 a gallon under Obama, to less than half of that under Trump, and then to go right back up to 350 again.
Oh, there is part of that is the Democrats and the oil stuff. But what I'm saying is that the oil companies are definitely trying to make their money back from that dip below $2 a gallon when they had to sell off their oil because they didn't have any more room in the reserves. They were having to shut down wells.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, we've got too much product, we need it gone. Because once it's what most people don't realize is once oil is refined, it really it has a shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
Gasoline only lasts maybe 6 months after being refined from crude oil. Maybe.
Mm.
After 6 months, it goes bad. It won't burn. Because
Without additives, additives you put in it.
yeah, you can put additives in it to make it last long. But the point is, because what burns isn't the gasoline itself; it's the fumes that it gives off.
It's the octane.
It's the octane, which is the fume it gives off. The fumes are what's flammable. After about 6 months or so with our additives, all those fumes have off-gassed, even inside a container. You still get a little off-gassing that still gets past the seal, just not enough for you to smell. But over several months, it all off-gasses, and you don't have any, the octane's all gone. Which is why if you have a car that sat all winter, you got to go throw heat in it and fresh fuel, and sometimes have to siphon out the old gas to get it to start. And starter fluid. Because it's got old gas in it.
I got a 5.3 that's been sitting out there. Hasn't ran 6-8 months, but I guarantee you I go in the morning or I go in the springtime and fire it up. I'll turn the key and that fucker will start up.
Okay, your mileage may vary on this particular piece of information. And we're talking about gasoline, and of course mileage may vary. That was not planned. None of this was planned.
Because it's got a the truck has a 5.3 Chevy Chevy, 5.3 Vortex Chevy in it. Those motors will pretty much drink anything you throw at them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. But
Although none of them was as bad as the truck my grandpa had. My grandpa had this old fucking international. It was an old 2-ton pickup,
Yeah.
2.5. It had a 400 big block in it, international. That thing could burn gas, cologne, diesel fuel, kerosene, perfume. Like it didn't matter. It was a gasoline engine, so you couldn't burn straight diesel fuel. But if you had a gallon of diesel fuel laying around, you could throw it in the freaking. This is the same thing. I mean, Grandpa used to throw used hydraulic oil in this fucking truck.
Yeah, that's not healthy for the engine, but whatever makes it
Well,
run, I guess.
It was a carbureted engine, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It's not like something was like now it's fuel injection.
And I think we've totally gotten so far into topics that Laura has no clue about. Again.
Yeah, I don't have a clue about any of it.
Sad
I'm
thing
not
about that,
really the biggest political current events person, to be honest.
No, I was just talking about gas prices. But
gas prices are a bitch. I have to get gas like 2 to 3 times a week.
You have to do it 2 times a week. To make that $200 in the day, I go through 5 to 10 gallons of gas a day.
I was looking at my app tracker for my side job, and it said I already had 1,000 business miles for this month.
Yeah.
I need a I'm actually looking into a new pickup.
What did it say for yours?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, with the new way we're doing the deliveries, I'm not doing as many business miles. But for January, I drove total of 1,853 miles. About 75% of that was business miles.
Wow.
I have an $878 tax deduction for last month.
Wait, only 30% of it was business?
Oh, 75.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Shout out, guys. So, I'm gonna be taking my road test here coming up in the spring.
Yeah.
Wait, when?
Like this, I'm hoping to take it like this spring.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But so now I've been looking at a truck.
So how's parallel parking treating you?
I dislike it, and I will try to avoid it as much as possible. But it's doable.
I have not parallel parked since my driver's test.
That's the same for me. I literally avoid it at all costs.
I will go find a parking garage, even if I gotta walk a mile, or 2, or 3. But I'm not parallel parking.
I mean, if I have to get out of a parking spot like that, like I can do it, but
it's getting into it that's the problem.
Yeah.
But where I live, I do have to park on the street a lot, where you would think people would parallel park, but thank God downtown neighborhoods have enough street space that I can go down a few things, where I can pull in forward, back up, and pull out. So it's not really parallel parking.
Right.
I'm more just pulling to the curb.
I'm thankful that, like, for the most part, like, my street, even if I do have to, like, not me parallel park, but if I'm in that situation, people give each other space. It's not like, you're bumper to bumper type of thing.
So, guys, question here. So, we know what I do for a living.
Yeah.
So, having a truck is pretty much paramount, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you need one.
So,
it else
3/4 ton Chevy, but I can't decide 6.0 or the 6.6 Duramax.
Don't know. My dad's the car guy. You'd ask him, but he's sleeping right now, getting ready to plow, I think.
No comment to that. Tony?
He's a snowplow driver, you pervert.
I didn't hear what the joke was.
I said my dad's getting ready to plow,
Oh.
and Cody laughed. Because, as
Cody,
we all
what
know,
the hell's wrong with you?
he's a self-admitted man-child. See, he doesn't deny it.
I don't. You know my problem. You know what my problem was though, is I spent all my childhood trying to grow up, or not even really trying, but having to grow up. And then I grew up, and I found out that growing up actually sucks, and it's like, fuck this. I want to go back to being I want to go back.
Granted, I do have to say something about the podcast, though. There was, when we stopped last time, there was a little bit of stuff going on between all of us. I don't remember exactly what it was about. We've gotten over it and stuff. And when I thought about this, I really didn't know if Laura would want to come back to do more podcasting, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. I actually remember.
I don't remember us being upset with each other.
Or something like,
Yeah,
it was some fight between you and Nick that I got dragged into. Or something.
That's not what I remember. The one
Like-
I
I don't remember that.
The one I remember was where I was giving her a bunch of shit and she hung up.
I don't remember what exactly it was, but it was like 2 years ago. Like, you FaceTimed me crying. Or something. About something with Nick. That Nick messaged me about. It was a mess, and I don't remember exactly what it was about, but we got over it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was something that was.
I was in my apartment when we did this.
Guys.
Yeah, no. It was stupid, but either way, I wasn't sure if Laura would want to come back to do podcast anyways with us not getting any stuff and us all being stuff. I mean, I'm glad she didn't mind coming back, and we got to come up with some sort of freaking schedule.
Yeah,
we need a new logo that isn't just SpongeBob screaming, because obviously that is not working to get people to watch. And we need to do some better planning. Like I said, we do not have a schedule yet. I think we'll try to do this at least once a week to start out with.
Yeah.
Once to twice a week. I'm thinking that'd probably be good. But I'm not going to guarantee what day we're going to do it. Obviously, we got to come up with a good time slot. Probably going to try a few different days, see what the view count does. On and off. Though consistency is the mother of success on the internet. Which is why I am so piss poor at actually getting any views or anything. Because my consistency is in the shitter.
You definitely got to do some tech reviews to get those Amazon clicks.
Yeah, the thing is I got to wait till I get the camera. Right now I am working on getting ready to record. The next few days I'm going to finish recording the stuff so I can use the footage to do a review of the anime Pirate Princess Fina. I meant to do that months ago, but shit came up. I had to switch jobs, and my health has not been doing the greatest lately. I've been trying to work. I've been missing a lot of days where I need to go out and work, but I wasn't able to. Weather's been shit. My health's been shit. I've had migraines. It's kind of been a rough few months. Because I have... My last episode... Because if... Well... And I'm just... Oh, yeah, we all live right now. There. But, like, my last video before this on this channel was back in September. And if I go to my gaming channel, my last gaming thing, which was just an upload from Twitch, was almost a month ago. And I was trying to go through the entire new Halo game via Twitch. And the thing is, to be honest, I've just been kind of drained lately. I haven't exactly had the motivation to keep going and keep making videos and recording. You know, there's something about it. You like to record your gameplay, but sometimes you literally just want to sit there and play your games without having to do voiceover. You know, without having to
Yeah.
remember to record it, without having to remember to do stuff. And then sometimes I'm doing a let's play, and I just don't feel like playing that game. And really, is it going to be entertaining for the audience? For me to play a game, I really don't want to play at the time. And that's the problem I'm running into. You know, because if this becomes more of a job and I stop enjoying it, I'm not going to build an audience if I don't enjoy what I'm doing. Because the audience is going to be able to tell that I'm bored. I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And it's not going to get me an audience or likes or subscribers or comments. I mean, I wish more people would comment, even negative criticism. Because the thing is, it's hard to tell what I'm doing wrong when nobody's watching and nobody's commenting, nobody's liking or disliking. The only views I get are on those freaking reaction videos, which are essentially just me rocking out to a song I liked and saying what I thought about it. But those run the risk of copyright infringement and strikes on my channel. Half the songs I've tried lately, I can't even upload them because they get blocked worldwide. And I really never wanted to be a reactions channel. Those were just something fun for me to do. I mean, I want to get back into doing like anime reviews and stuff, but also I work all day, every day, sun up to sundown when I can, doing the delivery work
How
so I
did
can
the
make
video
$200
collab
a day.
do that we did? The chicken one.
The chicken one? Oh, that one? Yeah, let me go back to YouTube Studio and see. Most people didn't like my take because I did not like the chicken.
We mean a lot of people.
Oh, I have 1 dislike, no likes, and 16 views from Raising Cane's. Somebody did not like my not liking Raising Cane's. I did not like the chicken. On the flip side, Chick-fil-A is delicious.
I don't like.
On the flip
Chick-fil-A.
side, I know not what neither one of you are talking about because we have neither one of those restaurants here.
Okay, here's the thing. I couldn't even get more than 2 views on a video I made. Let's talk about politics and people because apparently I can't learn my lesson was the title of the video. Although I have noticed I get more views when I make a custom thumbnail.
What's up?
You ever heard of Jitterbug Scruff thing?
Yeah.
It's only like $19 a month.
Hmm.
You know, something for me, you know,
Yeah.
text and talking unlimited. But I don't know where you get them at, do you?
Nope. I don't.
You don't know where you get them at either.
I think you might try looking at like Walmart or something.
Looks like my best videos are the reaction videos and the anime reviews.
It's not that surprising.
Although I need to do an update video because my original one was a good man with an outdated outlook for the Dave Ramsey video. But it turns out that no, Dave Ramsey is just an asshole. And I can totally rip him a new one about his raising the rent and how it is totally Christian to raise the rent and evict people when they can't afford it. When it totally isn't, because Jesus said, "Give all you have to the poor and follow me." I mean, I follow the faith, but I know enough about the tenets and what Jesus said to tell them that they are full of shit on that particular idea. And I don't think a lot of people understand that quite.
Generally, if you know somebody can't afford it, why would you try to screw them anyways? Unless you were being greedy, and actually, if you're just being greedy, you can't even claim to follow the faith because it's not even Jesus saying, give up what you have to the poor and follow me. It's littered in throughout the scripture.
That greed is a bad thing. The love of money is the root of all
that
evil.
Dude that stole like a bunch of money from a mega church.
No, Dave Ramsey, Financial Peace University.
Oh, I was thinking of this one dude that got exposed for literally stealing from like this huge church, and he had like a book, but I don't remember what his name was.
No, I'm talking about Dave Ramsey.
Oh.
Granted, there's another guy I would love to talk about eventually. I mean, it's crazy. Look him up. Just a second. I
didn't realize mega churches, like, there's some weird shit that goes on during those
Gee, you think?
I was like, wait, churches embezzle money?
If you really want to look at something screwed up when it comes to churches and money, look up Bob Lawson.
Huh.
He's an exorcist. But he charges you a shit ton of money to come and get the demon out of your loved one or your house.
I mean, shoot, if I had a demon in me, I might pay it.
No, but apparently everything is a demon in you. And the Catholic Church, which I believe you're still part of, aren't you, Laura? You're still Catholic?
Kinda.
They'll do it for free if they deem it necessary.
Yeah.
Most legitimate religious people don't charge for exorcism.
See, like, going through a legitimate exorcism sounds kind of scary, to be honest.
Oh, no, you see, what this guy does is he kind of is essentially group psychosis, because he does these group exorcisms where you pay to go to these things, and the people suddenly act like they're demonically possessed and all this stuff, and you're kind of in a trance of psychosis.
Come on, Joe!
And when you're in the trance of psychosis, you do shit that you're acting like you're freaking possessed.
Interesting.
But you're not possessed. It's a shared psychosis with your fellow members. It's kind of like how, I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but how worship music, though not all people do it on purpose, but the rhythms and the beats and the tunes used are actually designed to cause your body to have a physiological experience that makes you think you're feeling God's presence.
Huh.
You can take those same tones, those same drum rhythm patterns and all that stuff, because it's actually rhythmed almost to the human heartbeat or something, kind of like a subconscious rhythm. And this was discovered by a guy who invented contemporary Christian music. I'm not saying that everyone who creates contemporary Christian music is doing that on purpose, because obviously they're not. Obviously not everybody is trying to scam people. But it worked to get the first person figured it out, and it worked. But he didn't tell everyone what he was doing, but people started copying him, and it spread out. That way, people found out this music got people to think they were feeling God, so they thought God must be... Because even the people playing it get moved up in the melody. You know how music can make you feel a certain way just listening to it?
Yeah.
Like the melody? Well...
Hey, guys, I gotta bail. My phone's dying.
Okay, see you, Cody.
Yep, bye.
Oh, I keep talking. I can keep talking to
We
Laura.
should end the podcast soon. I think it's been over an hour.
Yeah, it's actually been an hour and 7 minutes, and people stop watching after a while. So I think what we've come down to is we're probably going to try to do this at least once a week.
Yes.
We're not going to try any sort of daily thing anytime soon, because we just do not have the time for that, but I'm sure we can find an hour a week with how much we talk to do a podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
But actually, I think the next one, because I know, Laura, do you have an opinion on nuclear energy?
No.
Are you scared of it?
Kind of.
Okay, so I will spend the next podcast making Laura no longer afraid of nuclear energy, and I will explain why it is the only hope for getting off of fossil fuels and the
Okay.
problems with wind, solar, and hydroelectric. And I think that'll make a pretty good podcast talking about something like nuclear energy. Hopefully.
I think it will. Did you stop recording?
No, I was just saying that to the audience.
Oh. Okay.
To let them know what's coming up. So, thank you guys for watching whenever you watch this. We didn't have any views, but that's also because we did not announce this ahead of time as a scheduled thing. So, we will see you guys next time. Don't forget to stay safe, stay healthy, and stay awesome. And have a good one.